I have an updated spreadsheet for all the character and vehicle stats in the description. This is not a tier list of the characters overall, although I will show character stats in a second. If you want to know the tier list for City Trial, it depends mostly on what rank you're at. Higher ranks is sketchy because many people will try to brush the garden in the sky, but there's also a counter strategy for mining crystal shard buffs, so the only thing I can offer is what benefits what strategy. This list is what I call defensive potential. Defense is based on weight, health, and the actual defense stats, so this tells you who can tank a hit. On the other hand, here's offense potential. This is based on the damage a character does and whether or not they have an auto attack. Next is gliding potential. This can be for gliding events or just reaching the garden in the sky in City Trial. And last I have the racing potential for each character. Keep in mind that this doesn't include turning, so a lot of characters near the top will usually smash their faces into walls if you try to turn. Bandana Dee. This character first showed up in Kirby Superstar in one of the secret modes and has since turned into a mainstay of the series. For some reason. He can be seen as a reference to the anime, as Waddle Dees in the show would hold spears. What's also a potential reference to the anime is that Bandana Dee is not very good. He's slower than most characters, has less health than most characters, and even his auto attack is on the weaker side compared to other characters. He mostly wants to look out for some means of gliding in City Trial. It's pretty clear Bandana Dee is designed for air ride, especially since his auto attack has a smaller cone in front of him with the larger range in front, meaning it's more for straightaways than open spaces that you'd find in City Trial. His special turns him into a blender, and it increases his speed to average amounts. It's not meant to do great damage, it's more used to get ahead by hitting opponents in races. As such, he's not really ideal for City Trial. Cappy. Cappy is a common enemy in the Kirby game, but he is most likely meant to be a representation for the anime, where every side character was a Cappy in some form. His alternate color is based on an alternate design he had in one of Superstar's secret levels. Cappy has some deceptive strengths in his kit. His big gimmick is that his cap gives him a boost to his defense. Although it will get knocked off, this is really good for City Trial because you generally will only get hit by a big attack rather than whittled away by tiny ones. For no reason, Cappy has the highest high jump score in the game, and also the slowest ground speed and damage stats. But because he's so easy to control, Cappy can grab onto an endgame star, like the Rex Wheelie in City Trial, and not struggle for it. His special gives him a rocket boost, and returns his cap if it's missing, and it grants him around the highest top speeds in the game. Daroach. This guy is a rat from the game Squeak Squad, which is generally considered the worst mainline Kirby game. In it, he leads a squad of thieves, and the game itself has a ton of reference to the anime, which may explain his inclusion in Air Ride. His alternate color is based on a form he took in that game. Daroach is incredibly average, so he can do pretty much anything in City Trial. He has the weakest auto attack in the game, and it also has a very short range, but it lets him steal items and powers from his enemies. His special lets him become invisible and intangible, although you can still see his shadow, but he will briefly appear to perform attacks. Dedede. You probably already know who he is, although his design is rather unique in this game compared to the rest of the series, especially due to the embroidery on his back. Dedede excels in everything but gliding, and has the second highest offense stat in the game. His auto attack is also the strongest auto attack in the game, so you want to bully players in City Trial often, or mine for crystals. Because he handles very poorly, he mostly wants to stick to easy-to-control vehicles. Dedede's special enhances his speed, auto attack, and spin attack, making it useful in races and fights, which are also areas that he's strong to begin with. Gooey. Gooey is the co-op partner for the Kirby Dream Land series. It's implied he's a friendly version of the dark matter enemy that's seen throughout that series. Gooey is very similar to Kirby, although he flies higher and is worse in combat. He also has a tongue, which extends his range for grabbing items and gives him a unique spin attack, which makes him harder to hit. There's not much benefit to using Gooey in City Trial, especially given his special. His special turns him into dark matter, letting him move faster, float better, and shoot a projectile forwards and backwards. But because City Trial is so spaced out, you can only really use this to get to the garden in the sky, rather than win any fight. Kawasaki. Kawasaki is a mini-boss throughout the Kirby series, and a character in the anime who is known as being a bad chef. In this game, he has a lot of extremes. He has the highest top speed in the game, the second highest defensive stats, and a really bad ability to turn or glide. He also heals more health when eating food compared to other characters. His special makes him throw out spicy curry, which hurts anyone who picks it up, including himself. It's nearly impossible to avoid it in races or in small arenas, and it can also be used to hurt bosses. Using this special also speeds him up for some reason. Kirby. You know who Kirby is. What you probably didn't know is that his recolors give him different specials. Kirby overall is just average, although his defense values and speed are a little low compared to the other characters, and he's decent at gliding. Default Kirby's special has him use the Ultra Sword from Return to Dreamland, which is one of the fastest specials and good for eliminating any enemy in front of you very quickly. Yellow Kirby's special is probably among the most busted in the game, as it allows him to detonate like a bomb and force anyone following him or any enemies surrounding him to take a hit. Red Kirby and Blue Kirby have a dash for their special, with Blue Kirby turning into a snowball with the highest speed boost in the game, and Red Kirby turning into a fireball which explodes. All Kirbys except Yellow speed up when they use their special. There are some other recolors for Kirby, but they also share specials among the main four. Knuckle Joe. Knuckle Joe is a character that the developers really like for some reason. He shows up as a partner in most games and is a reoccurring supporting character in the anime. His alternate color is a reference to the colors you would have as a co-op partner. Knuckle Joe is meant for fighting bosses. He has among the worst glide in the game. He isn't very fast, but he has extremely high offense and average defense. He's also the only character with 2 auto attacks. The first is a flurry of jabs with a ridiculous damage per second, and the second is a charge punch, which actually has a pretty average damage output despite it being a projectile. His special is a superpowered version of his auto attack, which also boosts his speed and flight power, on top of generally obliterating anything that stands in front of it. Lololo and Lalala. These two are a pain to pronounce, so I'm not doing it again. They are also 2 characters who starred in their own video game predating the Kirby series before becoming bosses. They're major characters in the anime, and their alternate colors are based on the recolors they had in Superstar Ultra and probably somewhere else. These two are a little frustrating to play because they don't glide very well. They have very slippery movements, but they also have extremely high offense and defense stats. Also, if you spin attack with them, you swap who's in front and who's wearing the cosmetic hat you pick for them. This doesn't do anything, but their special has them speed up and throw out green ice cubes at enemies that has a slight homing attack. It does good damage, but it's very hard to land in City Trial, making it better fit for small arenas or air ride. Magalor. This guy is from Return to Dreamland, where he didn't even get a redemption story until the remake, I think over a decade later. His alternate costume is based on the design he had in that remake. Magalor is a very great generalist character. He has some of the best glide in the game, it doesn't really sacrifice much for it, having above average combat stats and average speed. The only reason some characters shine over him is just because he doesn't have any extremes. His special has him fire a beam behind him, which is really good in air ride and less so elsewhere. He stops firing it when he's airborne, so you can only really use it on the ground and facing away from your enemies. Marx. Marx is definitely the most evil, most friendly character in the cast. He was also a recurring character in the anime where he would show up and save the day in every episode. His design has been changed to have a wall-eyed stare unlike his other iterations, probably referencing his boss form. People interpret him as a glass cannon, but he's really not. Instead, he's an extremely strong character who sacrifices combat potential for strong flight and no loss of speed. Marx cannot and absolutely should not fight. People know this, and they will target you for it, and he's one of the few characters in City Trial who's sure to reach the garden in the sky with his special. His special transforms him into his boss form, which gives him improved speed and flight, and it also jinxes any enemies that he bumps into. Most importantly, his special form resets his glide, meaning you can double dip on your vehicle's glide stat to reach pretty much anywhere. Meta Knight. You know who he is, and yes, all his recolors are based on something. Meta Knight is excellent in all areas except speed, where he's the slowest in the game on the ground. You basically always want to be flying with him. He also has an auto attack, although it's the second weakest in the game, but it's pretty safe to pick fights as him. His special boosts his speed and flight while also giving him a new spin attack in the form of a drill rush. You can also use this to glide farther, which lets you reach important areas. Noir. Noir is a unlockable character, so sorry if you didn't know that. He is completely average, save for decent speed stats and not so decent defensive stats. And although he's called Noir Dedede, he does not have an auto attack. His special makes him invincible and obscures the vision of other players based on proximity. If this sounds useless, it's probably because it is, but it at least makes him faster. Rick. Rick is the newbie special. He was a playable character in the Dreamland series and a minor character in the anime, and now he's basically the mascot of the Animal Friends faction. Rick can do pretty much everything but glide. He's fast, he's strong, he's healthy, and he's fat. Since he's extremely popular, you should worry more about people counterpicking gliding characters or gliding events, since people figured that out pretty much on day one. His special lets him dismount and run, which gives him among the highest top speed in the game, and also a constant ramming hitbox. And since Rick is fat, and ramming is based on weight, you will pretty much obliterate anyone you run into. Rocky. He's probably my least favorite visual design in the series, which is kind of unfortunate for me because he's in absolutely everything. Rocky is basically Rick cranked up to 11. He has the worst glide in the game, but the highest top speed and defense in the entire game. You will be fast as Rocky, you'll be strong as Rocky, and you will not be able to turn or glide as Rocky. A Rocky special is an AoE slam with a delay, making it not wonderful in most situations, but it is strong, and it also speeds him up just a little bit. Scarfy. He is an enemy in almost every Kirby game. He also shows up in the anime. He's also the only character in the game with a voice line, which is, screeching. Scarfy's biggest strength is that he's cute. Otherwise, besides his flight stat, he is the worst character in the game. He has the lowest top speed, the second lowest defense stat, and the second lowest defense stat. However, if he does take a hit, he has an angry form that he turns into, which turns him into the fastest character in the game with the highest offense stat in the game. But this does not affect his defense at all, so he's still really fragile. Scarfy's special triggers a different enraged form, which increases his stats even further. His top ground speed and top air speed is even higher than his alternate form triggered upon taking a hit, and it ends in an explosion. Starman. Given his presentation and overall design, you'd expect Starman to be some major character in something, but he's actually just some random enemy who doesn't even show up in the anime. Starman is who you pick when you want to glide. He's slow, he'll die pretty much instantly to any attack, he does not do damage, but he speeds up in the air and has the highest glide stat in the game. His special is also just used for gliding, which speeds him up and does no damage. If you somehow haven't reached the garden in the sky by the time you get your special, it pretty much assures that you will. Susie. Susie is an antagonist from Planet Robobot, and if you haven't played Robobot, then shame on you. Despite what you think, she is very rude and she's very short-tempered. In-game, she gets a massive height boost from going off ramps, but this is more to offset her extreme weight. She doesn't actually glide very well. She has decent top speed, but more notably, she's one of the game's best fighters. She has a huge offense stat and really good defensive stats. Her special gives her jet booster. It does jet booster things. Compared to other specials, it doesn't actually go very fast. Taranza. He is a character from Triple Deluxe. If you haven't played Triple Deluxe, I don't blame you. His alternate color is based on the final boss of that game. Taranza has a gimmick where he can launch a web onto surfaces to turn or swing. It's great for turning, but that's about it. Because of this, there's some stars you want to avoid on him. For instance, the Slick Star. You constantly need to spam A presses to use it, so you will constantly latch onto walls that you don't want to grab. Taranza is pretty average as a character otherwise, although he does have a decent offense and defense stat, meaning you can survive a lot of encounters. To do what? It's hard to say, considering City Trial, you're only really good at ramming boxes as him. His special makes him throw web balls to stun enemies. It's good for races, and that's about it, because City Trial is way too big for him to benefit from it, and it doesn't seem to do any damage. At the very least, it speeds him up a little bit. Waddle Dee. This is the Kirby version of a Goomba. People think he's a joke character, and he kind of is, but he has some of the best glide in the game. His biggest strength is that he can turn very well, especially with his reduced speed, which means you can pick vehicles no other characters can and control yourself in them. His special turns him into a natural character, boosting his stats universally. It's not to any amazing numbers, since there's still some of the lowest individual bonuses across the entire cast, but because they're universal, it's not too bad. Waddle Doo. This is the Kirby version of a Koopa. He's a character in the anime as well, and he only exists because it was really easy to edit Waddle Dee's sprite in the original game. He is okay. His glide is kind of strong, and he's kind of slow, and he has low offense and defense, but he does have what some people consider to be the best auto attack in the game. It is a projectile in a wide arc, and it does average damage for an auto attack. You still get melted in fights, but it's really handy in city trials for breaking boxes or crystals. His special is very strong in battles because it's a wide arcing projectile that lasts for what feels like an eternity. It gives him the tiniest speed boost in the game, but it is great for just camping in one spot and shooting anyone who passes by you. That's it for every character. Once again, this is not a tier list, this is just to give you a general idea of what the character can do and should do. I have a video on what every stat does and what every vehicle does if you would like to check that out, and thank you so much for watching.